our state has ethics that starts at the top. You know, Texans deserve to lead the nation in ethics and transparency and openness in our government. I proposed an 8-point plan to move us forward, to remove some of the corruption and cronyism that we see in government right now, to make sure that government is for all the people and not just the people who can afford it. I'll hit some of the highlights first. When I'm governor, the people that we appoint to regulatory boards, boards that are in charge of regulating various businesses, will not be allowed to solicit campaign contributions for the person who is appointing them. That makes a lot of sense. It's a conflict of interest for somebody to ask for a campaign donation from the very people that they're supposed to regulate. And yet that has happened under Governor Rick Perry, and he has no laws or rules that prevent that. When I'm governor, members of my staff and their spouses should not be allowed to ask for campaign contributions from people, from anybody in the governor's reelection. That prevents them from anybody from thinking that there's a price they have to pay to see the governor or to get an entree to boards and commissions. Currently, the chief of staff of the governor, who was a lobbyist or consultant for the Trans-Texas Corridor before he became the governor's chief of staff. His wife had raised money for Perry and raised millions and millions of dollars for Rick Perry. And I just don't believe that the members of the governor's staff or their spouses should be allowed to raise money from Texans to support the re-election of a governor, and that's the way it will be when I'm governor. People should be appointed to boards and commissions based on the full range of talent, not just on membership in one political party or how much they contribute to a campaign. Under Rick Perry, he has a finance committee right now with 120 Texans on that finance committee. There are over 100 appointments to boards and commissions among that group. $5.3 million has been contributed to his various campaigns by those appointees alone. They're on his current finance committee that have gotten appointments to boards and commissions. If I'm governor and when I'm governor, we'll have a rule that when somebody is appointed to a board or commission, there will be a limit, $10,000 that will apply to the amount that they could give once they are appointed to a board and commission during that election cycle. There is no limit right now under Rick Perry, and that's wrong. When I'm governor, the members of my staff, the senior staff, will file financial disclosure statements so we know where they get their income, who they're indebted to. This is important because those positions exercise important responsibility. Senior staff, when I was mayor of Houston, did so at city council. We were able to attract good staff. I think that should be a requirement, and that will be a requirement of staff working for the governor's office when I'm governor. We got to end the revolving door of lobbyists in and out of the governor's office and have certain rules. Here would be my rules. A person would not be permitted to lobby on the very matter, would not be allowed to work in the governor's office on the very matter that they've been paid to lobby before they joined the governor's staff. Currently, there is no prohibition to that. You had a governor's staff member, Mr. Shelley, who worked for the Trans-Texas Corridor, and then a firm competing for the Trans-Texas Corridor. He went on the governor's staff. And then after the firm he worked for, Central, was awarded a contract, he left the governor's staff, went back to work with that firm, and within the first 4 months he was paid up to $1.2 million. That practice of revolving door will end. There'll be a 2-year rule. Pardon me, y'all. You couldn't work on the same matter. You get a little water from me here. Thank you. Been on the road a lot. 2-year rule that you couldn't work for 2 years, lobby the governor's office if you work the governor's office, or a state agency if you work for the state agency. And that would tend to end this revolving door of lobbyists. 5 of the 7 chiefs of staff of Rick Perry were lobbyists before or after, and sometimes next month. We need to end that practice. There needs to be openness and transparency in dealing with the press. Governor Perry's office routinely destroys emails after a matter of days so that members of press can't have access to it. When public information requests are filed by news publications or, as in our case, by someone in a competing campaign by state members of the legislature, there's a stonewall. They are routinely referred to the Attorney General, which delays processes, and that even occurs when the Attorney General has already ruled that the very same document should be produced to members of the public. We need a governor who's committed to openness and transparency. The 8-point plan that I've put in writing will be a way that Texans can rally around somebody trying to work for all the people of Texas, and will be a vehicle for making Texas politics and the Texas governorship above petty politics or above electioneering. Look, I'm running for governor because the position of governor should be one of public service, and boards and commissions should be used for public service. They should not be used as tools in a political machine. It's well known in Austin. It's well known throughout this state that Rick Perry has used the tools of office to build a political machine with various appointments to boards and commissions. We know this in part because the patterns that we see. Rick Perry got a loan for a home, got a loan for a down payment, rented the home, didn't report the debt on financial disclosure statements, and then these are all uncontested. In violation of state law, he didn't do any of those things. And he hasn't denied that he did those things. And the banker that made him his loan was appointed to the University of Texas Board of Regents. His father was appointed to the University of A&M Board of Regents. His wife was appointed to the University Board. We shouldn't have that in this state. We should have government where we select the best from both political parties to be in those offices to serve all the people of this state. And I'm proud and privileged to have some of the most outstanding civic leaders of El Paso, bipartisan, standing with me here today that may be free to comment or you may have questions for. Thank you. You want to say anything, Will?